Hi everyone. Barring any last minute changes, here is my final draft team reveal for the Premier League restart. So without further ado, let's get straight into it, starting off with the bench. As we can see, I've got Greenwood and Bueno as my sub 3 and sub 2 with a combined cost of 8.1 million. And no doubt with those players, I'm packing a significant amount in my 11, so I'm happy to have them for cameo points, cameo appearances on the bench. Probably might even start Bueno potentially in a match if need be, but I'm fairly content with just having them right there at the end of my bench. Moving on to my sub one, I wanted some sort of Arsenal defensive cover with their rumoured double game week that's coming up, and also because of the run of games that they have and the form that they've shown over the course of the season to date. I've seen many FPL managers actually start Ben White in their respective teams. I can potentially have him as a starting option at times, but for game week 17, most likely he'll just be a sub one. And then moving on to my sub goalkeeper, Danny Ward has been an absolute sensation for his price range at 4.1 million. Can't go wrong with him as an alternate goalkeeper. Of course, he's got two tricky games that are coming up initially, but then Leicester's run of games improves significantly from Jan onwards. So I'm hoping that I can potentially use him on an as and when basis going forwards. And then moving on to my strikers, no surprises. I've got Haaland right there in my starting 11. He's been there from game week one, from pre-season. There's not much else I need to say about him there. But yeah, he'll be a mainstay. I saw that his overall FPL ownership was like 83%. It's going to be significantly higher. It'll be like pretty much 100% across the upper echelons in FPL. And then to accompany him, it's Nketiah. Now, the different drafts that I had, it was actually meant to be Darwin and Haaland in my team, but ultimately you'll see why that wasn't the case in a moment. This was a tricky spot for me to fill in because Martial was an option and also Mitrovic was an option as well, and then Nketiah, of course. And I mentioned this rumoured double game week for Arsenal, which it puts him in good stead and is a reason why I've got him in. And I'm hoping that during the time when Jesus is injured and if they haven't got another striker signed up, that he should surely start the upcoming matches. And he was slightly cheaper than Mitrovic and also Martial. So ultimately, it was a just sensible fit in the end. Mitrovic is also yellow flagged, and he's also got that one match away from a yellow card risk as well, which could mess up him as being a prospect for the double game week fixture. And Martial, despite him likely to start, my concern is that his minutes could still be managed during the festive period. So I've decided that it's probably not worth the risk and getting the extra money for him. And then moving on to my midfield, you can see it's heavily packed there. So I've got Rashford, purely because of the generous run of games that United have during the festive period. Against Nottingham Forest, hopefully can't go wrong. Martinelli, who's been a mainstay in my squad from the early part of the season. I finally succumbed to Almiron, who probably won't get the double-digit hauls like he did back-to-back from the previous game weeks, but have to have him, just otherwise it's going to damage my rank if he gets anything. And then lastly in midfield, I've gone for the Salah and De Bruyne double up. And that's something that many haven't been able to do, but I've decided due to the way I've spread my funds that I'm willing to just go for this double up. Of course, in the case of De Bruyne, factoring in the double game week, and in the case of Mohamed Salah, reasonable run of games for the festive period. And then coming on to my back line, I've got James and Kepa because of the double game week and good run of games. And then Trippier, had to bring him back in after selling him just before the World Cup restart. And then lastly, Akanji had to unfortunately downsize Cancelo, which I didn't want to do, but by getting Akanji in over Cancelo, I'd hope that, well, it's unlocked funds, and I'd hope I've still got some sort of defensive City cover for the Premier League restart and the double game week as well. But I was trying to keep it as balanced as possible. Gutted I had to sell Cancelo, gutted I couldn't get Darwin, but you can't have them all. And there you have it. Let me know what you think in the comments below.